Welcome, friends of the Greasy Shop Rag. Today we're going to take a look at a Husqvarna 562XP chainsaw. Customer complaint is that the starter mechanism's all jacked up. And you can see here by the cord hanging out that he's got a legitimate complaint. So 4 screws, pop that starter cover off. We'll take a look and see what we got. A lot of times you'll find that these pins here are cracked on this starter pulley, so that's one thing you want to look at while you got that starter in your hand. Make sure that things look all right. Now, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked here. I mean, I thought we were working on a starter mechanism, and now I'm digging in a tank. Throughout this video, I'm kind of a scatterbrained back and forth looking over this saw. And actually, you'll notice that this saw was in a previous video, one that had a lot of dirt in the intake track. You see that dent in the top cover there? You might remember that from that other video. We suspected that this thing took a hit and knocked the air filter off, and the guy didn't realize it and ran it that way for a while. So we put this new air filter on here. And I'm kind of curious now to see if it's dirty in that intake track or not. And it's not terrible. Not like it was when he brought it in the first time, but it's not perfect. Which makes me think that my guess that he had knocked that filter off there was a fair one. Let's just look in the cylinder and see how this thing's holding up, because we know it did ingest a lot of dirt. And for you guys that like to puzzles and to play games, what's that shiny piece in the bottom of the picture that's been laying on the bench the whole time? That little cylinder-shaped piece. Okay, we're going to put a new spark plug in here. This is a champion plug. I don't normally put champions in these Huskies, but I got a lot of them left over. There was a period of time where I couldn't get the proper plug for this. They were all out of stock, and we had to cross over to champion for them. And I got a bunch of those left I want to use up. And I tend to put them in saws that are already... That boot is fighting me. I don't like the way it's going on there. We're just going to take a little bit of dielectric grease and smear it inside that cap so it slides on there easier. Now I noticed that the first time the guy brought this saw in here, it was a lot of fine powder, dirt, big mess. And now it looks like maybe he's cutting a little bit of cleaner wood, and I see some bigger wood chips actually. I mean, there were no chips to be found last time we brought this thing in. But you can look down that carb throat there, and there's a little bit of residue built up on the inside of that intake runner. But again, nothing like it was before. So let's get back to our starter repair, eh? We remove the pulley. Again, take a good look at those pins and make sure that they're not cracked, because in the cold weather those things can break off of there. Now there's 2 screws, T15 maybe, T10, that hold this spring cassette, let's call it that. Hold that into the starter body. And when we remove this cover, we find half of the spring in the cassette and half of the spring in the cover. Now that ain't gonna work. And this is a low budget repair, so we're putting a used spring in here. Not that springs are expensive, But anytime we put used parts in, we charge the customer half the cost of a new part, no matter what the price is or what the part is. So put this back together is kind of a no-brainer. Just lay that cassette back in place and run the screws down. Did you figure out what that little shiny cylinder piece is yet? It's sitting there on the bench just to the right of my impact driver there above that scrunch. When you drop the pulley on top, you have to get the groove in the pulley lined up with the end of the spring so it drops down flush. And you'll know if you have it right because once you tighten the screw down, that pulley will still turn free like that. Now we need to put some tension on that spring. Get that rope wound up on there. Don't put too many wraps on here at once. I mean, I think I'm going to go 4 turns. And then we'll see where we're at. Need 1 more wrap. That feels good. Well, let's just make sure that we're not going to be bottoming out that spring if the rope's pulled all the way. Get the rope all the way out and we can still turn the pulley a little farther so we know we're good with that. Okay. Again, I don't understand what the scatterbrain stuff is here. All I had to do is screw that starter down, but I didn't. So we're going with a new air filter again. You know, that's a part that I never offer a used air filter to anybody.
I guess we're gonna need a starter.
So that was silly, wasn't it? I had the starter on there. I took it off. I installed the air filter. And then now I'm putting the starter back on. You know, this is just a guy standing at the bench during the workday with things on his mind, right? Hope you get through the day without screwing anything up. Well, that's all I got for you on the 562XP starter repair and air filter swap. Thanks for watching. Later.